Hi guys, so in light of all of the heavier videos I've been doing and I will be doing in the coming weeks, I thought it would be fun to do a tag today. And this is the tag, it's called the Facebook bucket list tag. I've been tagged a few times on my personal Facebook to do it, and usually it's a written tag, but I thought I would turn it into a video tag. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. So what you need to do is you either, if you've done it, you need to tell the story, and if you haven't done it, is it something that's on your bucket list? So shot a gun. I have shot a not a shotgun. I've shot a hunting rifle because I used to hunt with my grandfather when I was little. I have no desire to shoot a handgun. There's a place here in the city where you can actually go to a gun range and shoot. And my husband's went, and every time someone comes, my dad, his brother, everyone that comes, he takes them there. It's a fun outing, but I have no interest in shooting a handgun. Have you ever climbed a mountain? Yes, because I went hiking in Newfoundland, and that's all mountains. Climbed off the beaten trail. Yeah, that's most of the hiking that you do in Newfoundland. Some of it's on the East Coast Trail, which are actually set trails, but you can go off those very easily. And also when I was a kid, I used to go hiking all around where my grandparents live, which there's no set trails there. Seen the Northern Lights? Yes, I have. They're absolutely beautiful. Seen an iceberg? Yes, I've seen an iceberg actually flip. So while doing whale watching an iceberg tour off the coast of Newfoundland, I've seen icebergs a couple of times, so I've actually seen an iceberg flip. And what that is that when too much of the iceberg that's below the water melts, the whole thing will flip over. And so then the bigger part will then be back on the top. And then when it melts down, it flips again and flips again, and that's how they get tinier. Gone on a blind date? Yes. I've been on a couple blind dates. And I talked to my husband before our first date, but I did not physically see him until our first date, so that's kind of a blind date. Have you skipped school? Yes, I used to skip school a lot when I was a teenager and making bad choices. It is what it is. I did graduate, and I graduated on time, but sometimes I wish I could go back and take back some of those days. Visited a castle? Yes, visited a castle in Scotland that is in the lineage of my husband's family. My husband's like the 130-some odd person to inherit it, so it's not like it'll ever be our castle. But I actually stayed at the castle, so that was pretty cool. Have you ever watched someone die? Yes, I have watched three family members die, and I watched about 6 to 8 people die of gunshots, stabbings, beatings when I was living a high-risk lifestyle. Have you met someone famous? I guess that depends on what your definition of famous is. If anyone knows who Alan Doyle is, the lead singer of Great Big Sea, and also he has a solo career as well. I've met him. I have met Krista Berg. I have met Chris Hadfield, the astronaut. I have met... I met Celine Dion when I was really young. I had a backstage pass at her concert. So I met a few people. Have you ever visited Canada? Well, since I live in Canada, and I have always lived in Canada, yes. Visited Hawaii? Yes. Visited Cuba? Yes. Visited the Caribbean? Yes. I've been to Jamaica, St. Lucia, and Dominican Republic. Have you ever visited Mexico? Yes. Have you ever visited Europe? Yes. So I went on an England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales trip. So in England we stayed with family. In Ireland we stayed with, so in England we stayed with my family. In Ireland, we stayed with my brother-in-law, my husband's brother. In Scotland, that's where we stayed in the castle. Wales, we stayed just in like a bed and breakfast. I've also been to Spain, Canary Islands specifically, because my husband's uncle used to live there. He lives back in Canada now. And France, we went to visit his aunt and uncle and his cousins. They all live back in Canada now, but his uncle had a really high-end job, and so the person above him decided to take a sabbatical for a year, and the only reason why he would agree to it is if he could take a sabbatical the year after. So he went to France, and he took his two daughters, one who's in grade 12 and one who's in grade 10, and they got to do a year abroad, and then they ended up staying there. He ended up quitting his job, and they ended up staying there for 3 years, so they stayed there for the younger daughters, grade 10, 11, and 12 year. Visited South America, yes, I've been to Brazil. One of my brother-in-laws is from there. Visited Las Vegas a few times and plan to go back. Visited Central America, yes, Belize. My husband's uncle and aunt and cousin were there because his uncle retired from the Newfoundland Power Corporation, I guess it would be, and Belize, like, it's kind of right down the middle. Half is beautiful, which is where they lived, and half is in complete despair and would be considered a third world country. And so he went there to help rebuild the power grid. And we visited Asia, no, but I would like to, because that's where my husband's ancestry goes back to. His great grandfather on his mom's dad's dad came across from China to Vancouver, and then he worked his way across Canada all the way to Newfoundland, creating the Canadian Railway. So China is where his family's from, so I would love to go there. Have you ever visited Australia? No, but I would love to go to Sydney, Australia to visit Steve Irwin's animal sanctuary. Visited Africa, actually we went to Hahara, Harare, Zimbabwe, which is where our foster child is from, so we actually went there and visited her 2 years ago. I visited New York, yeah, I've been to New York 4 times, twice in high school, once in university, and once since. Visited Paris, yes, when we were in France we went to Paris. Stood on the top of the CN Tower, yes. Stood on the top of the Empire State Building, yes. Visited a famous museum. I can't remember what it's called, and that's really bad, but the museum that's in the Night of the Museum movies. I've been there. That's the only really famous one. I guess I've been to, like, the Canadian Railway Museum, which is a pretty big deal if you're in Canada. If you're not from Canada, it might not mean a lot. But that's pretty cool. Have you ever taken the subway? Yep. In New York and Toronto. Traveled by train to see the countryside. Yes. My great uncle works or used to work for CN Rail. And so when I was in grade 6 or grade 7, my dad and I and my sisters and my uncle and a few of us went on a trip from Nova Scotia right through to Vancouver. Experienced Niagara Falls. Yes, I've actually been on both sides of it, the Canadian and the American. See the Grand Canyon in person? No, but I hope to someday go there. Flown in an airplane? Yes, lots of times. Flown a plane or glider? No, but I would love to. I don't know if I'd ever be able to because of my eyesight. I know I wouldn't be able, I don't want to be like a commercial pilot like WestJet, Air Canada, American Airlines. I don't want to do that. But like a small plane or a glider, I'd love to do that. I just don't know if you're able to get trained when you have vision issues. Owned a sailboat? No, but I've sailed on a sailboat. Owned land? Yes. Served on a jury? No, but I've been summoned for jury duty twice. Once I didn't even get through. They didn't even call my name to go in and talk to the people. The other time, it was a murder case, and because of what I do and what my beliefs are, so because I'm a social worker and I believe that everyone has the ability to change and just different things, they said that I would be a biased juror, and I would bias towards the defense. And I don't know if that's true, if I would have been biased towards the defense, or possibly even biased towards the plaintiff because of the situation that the case was, but they didn't let me. Been lost. Yeah, I've been, like, every day pretty much when I'm driving, I get lost at some point because I'm so directionally challenged. But as a kid, I was lost a few times and had to spend overnights without my family. Attended a music concert. Yes, I've most recently was Christopher in October, but I've been to Headley, I've been to Nickelback, been to Great Big Sea a number of times, been to Celine Dion, I've been to Our Lady Peace, Ace of Base. Oh, I went to Philip Phillips in the summer. So yeah, I've been to a bunch of concerts. Travel to the opposite side of the country. Well, I don't quite live on the furthest west side, but I go from the second most westerly province to the furthest east point of North America, which is St. John's, Newfoundland, on a regular basis. So yes, and when I did that train thing, I went from Nova Scotia to BC, so that cut off Newfoundland, and now when I travel, I cut off BC, but pretty close. Celebrate Canada Day in Ottawa on the Hill, yes. I've never done it sober, though. I would love to do it sober. I used to do it well under the influence, and I used to lay on the ground when the fireworks, and why I did this and thought this was a great idea, I don't know, but I'd freak out and think that I was being burnt, because you know the fireworks that go up and then come down on an arch, I'm assuming those are popular fireworks everywhere. Well, as it came down, I think it was going to hit the ground and burn me, and it wasn't even directly above me, but that was just the drugs. So I would like to experience that sober. Celebrated July 4th in Washington, D.C. I did do that in 2012, and that was a lot of fun, and that was sober. Swim in the ocean, yes. I've swum in the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Cried yourself to sleep, yes, many times. Played cops and robbers. Yeah, as a child I did. Recently colored with crayons. Yes, I have those adult crayon coloring books. So use crayons, colored pencils, and certain markers. Sang karaoke, yes, it was horrible, but yes. Sang a duet or solo, no. Been on a cruise. Yeah, I was on a cruise of the Mediterranean. Paid for a meal completely in coins. Yes, if you look at my video called, is the tag video, what was it called? Money Stories, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. There's a story in there about me paying for fried chicken with coins out of, I found on the ground, found in furniture, found wherever, and try to make the bucket of fried chicken last the whole week. Many years ago, my husband and I were very down on our luck. Paid for a meal in coin since I've been financially stable. Probably not, unless you count, like, we now have loonies and toonies in Canada, so, like, I'm sure I've paid for Subway $6-7 with a couple toonies and a loonie. So if you want to consider that paying in coin only, then yeah, I do that a lot. Made prank phone calls, used to do it all the time as a child. Haven't done it in many, many years though. Laughed until some sort of beverage came out your nose. Yes. And it seems to only happen the off times that I drink something that's carbonated. Not my ginger ale that I take at night for my lithium. That doesn't happen then. But like if I decide to have like a Sprite Zero or a 7-Up, Diet 7-Up or whatever, it seems to be those are the times. Or if I'm drinking carbonated water, those seem to be the times instead of like, you know, when it's just plain water or something, so it wouldn't sting as much because it really, really hurts. Carbonated stuff coming out of your nose really hurts. Caught a snowflake on your tongue. Yeah, I used to do it as a child and I still do that. Dodge, drain, drops. Used to do it as a child, still do that now. I think it's very, very fun. Own a house, yes. Been to a toga party, yes, in university. Have a pet, yes. So we currently have 7 cats. We had another cat, Rexy, who passed away in 2012. As a child, I had my grandparents' dog, Putch, who passed away when before I went to school. And I used to ride him around as a horse. He was I don't know what he was. He was a bigger dog. I think he was German Shepherd something mix. Then I had my fluffy black dog, Spike, who got stolen. My mom had him stolen. Then I had Sarah, who was a golden lab, who was too big for our house, so we had to give her to a family that lives on a farm. Yeah. Been skinny dipping? Yes. Not in recent years, but yes, a lot. Have you been fishing or have you been boating? Yes, I used to fish every summer with my grandfather. Actually, even when I was older and I would go back to visit, I would go fishing with them. And then boating, we used to fish from his speedboat as well as on the dock. But we used to go boating. My grandmother used to pack us a picnic and we would go up to the top of the lake that they lived on because they lived quite close to the beach, and we just spend like all day up there. It was so much fun. Some of my best memories of my grandfather. Have you been snowboarding? No, because I can't even downhill ski. I can't handle the anxiety that comes with not having control over myself, so I feel like I'm losing complete control and my feet are strapped into something, and now I'm just going flying down a hill, so I can't handle it. Been water skiing or sea-doing. So I can water ski because water skiing, although I'm not great at water skiing, I feel like I have control. If I want to fall, I can fall and I'm falling into water. And that's not going to hurt me because I spent my whole entire life in water. So I'm not scared of water in any way, but I'm afraid of falling on ice and stuff. I've been sea-doing, yes. I used to do it more as a child. I don't really know anyone that has a sea-do anymore, but I would definitely do that. Again, been camping in a trailer or an RV, yes, all the time. When I was younger, camping in a tent, yes. Driven a motorcycle, yes. Acted, yes, I acted from grade 7 to grade 12 in school, and then I did some community stuff in university, and I haven't acted in a really long time. Performed in a well-known prestigious event. I don't know. I performed in a Canada parade. I don't know what they mean by prestigious event. Been bungee jumping, yes. Been skydiving, no, but I would love to. Gone to a drive-in movie. Absolutely used to do it all the time as a child. Have done something that could have killed you. Yeah, I'm, living almost 20 years doing drugs alone is enough. But I've done some pretty crazy things. My life is pretty bland now, but it used to be pretty fiery. Done something that you'll regret for the rest of your life. Yes, although I don't really live with regrets, I do regret what I did to my grandparents when I was using, the amount of money that I stole, the things that I stole, the amount of times I lied to them. I do regret that. Have you ever rode an elephant? No. Rode a camel? No. Eaten just cookies or cake for dinner? Yes. Eaten ice cream for dinner? Yes. Been on TV? Yes. I was in, when I was in school, my school had raised money for Christmas Daddies, which is a fundraiser to provide gifts and food for underprivileged families at Christmas time. And so I was one of the check presenters. I was also on BT Canada in high school sometime, as a student ambassador for the Kids Help Them. Donating traffic signs. Yes, I used to have a stop sign that I stole, but I lost it in my many moves when I was not making great choices. Been in a car accident? Yes, I've been in a few, but the two main ones, or the two ones that have long-term effect, is in 2015, so this time last year. Middle of January last year, I had a bad accident at work, and then in 1999, in June of 1999, I was in a really bad car accident. Both affected my neck and back. Been in the hospital in the last 24 months, yes, for my colitis, for my breathing, for my sinuses. Had major surgery, yes. I've had my septum reconstructed 3 times. I've had endometriosis surgery for 5 times. I've had bowel surgery. Volunteered your time. I do it whenever I can. Listen to someone who needed you. I try to do that whenever possible. If someone identifies that they need someone to talk to, I try to be that person for them to the best of my ability. Fought for someone who needed you. Yes, I advocate for people all the time. That's kind of part of who I am. At one of my jobs, I actually got the nickname the Advocator because I advocate so strongly for people. Crammed all night for an essay, for an exam. Yes, I used to do that in junior high school, university, didn't matter. Got a degree or certificate. Yes, I have my sex and drug counseling. I have my harm reduction certificate. I have my diploma, bachelor, I have master's of social work, and my master's of criminology. Saved a life. Yes, I actually saved my grandfather's life when I was 14. When he was in an accident and I found him. And then I also used to donate blood all the time before they changed the regulations around lithium. I used to donate blood all the time, so that's saving a life. Taught children, yes. I used to be a special needs preschool teacher. And then I've done a lot of work with youth, so I don't know if that's considered in children. If children goes up to 18, then I've done a lot of work with children. Oh, donated blood, yes. So I started donating blood when I was as young as I could, and then I couldn't donate blood for the whole period of time once I admitted that I was doing drugs because you don't know what's in it. So then you have to wait 2 years. So that would have been 2005 I was able to start donating blood again, and then I donated blood for almost 2 years, and then they brought in the stipulation that if you take lithium, you cannot give blood because lithium is a metal, and then that's a higher concentration in your blood, and they said it's the same thing as not being able to breastfeed if you're taking lithium. So if you're pregnant, you take lithium, that's fine because it doesn't cross the placenta, but it crosses into breast milk, and I take 1,500, and it would be 150,000 milligrams that would be in my breast milk. And so it's similar in donor blood, and so if that person has reaction to lithium, so 2007 I had to stop in 2007, 2008. Yeah, because I donated blood for a little while once I moved out here, and then the changes happened. So I hope that will change back. I don't know that I'll ever be off lithium, because it's my mood stabilizer and it works well for me. But I hope that someday to be able to donate blood again. Got a ticket in the past. I have never got a ticket like been pulled over. Here's a ticket for speeding, or your headlights out, or whatever, running a stop sign. But I have got some photo radar tickets where I live now, all within 10 kilometers. So if it's 50 kilometers is the speed limit, it's always between 51 and 60. So they're just, it's frustrating because photo radar tickets just make money for the city and for the police. It doesn't do anything, like I don't lose any demerits for them, because they just get sent to the owner of the vehicle or the registered owner of the vehicle, but they have no way of proving that you're the one that did it. They just take a picture of the back of your car, they take a picture of the license plate, so it's kind of frustrating. But I have got some of those tickets over the time. I try to be very careful about it, but I mean sometimes I do go over. Got a piercing. So I have my ears pierced, and I've had my ears pierced since I was 6 months old. I used to have up here pierced. That got ripped out in a fight. I used to have my belly button pierced. That got ripped out in a fight. Not the same fight, but got ripped out in a fight. Samson, please don't knock everything over. I used to have my tongue pierced twice. But I took them out. I got them done. And then less than a month later, my grandfather had a massive heart attack. So I took them out when I went to go see him, because he didn't know about them. And an hour later, when I went to puncture them through again, I couldn't get them through. So when I went to my Grammys, I sterilized a darning needle, poked them both holes, and then put them in. But within a month, they got infected, and they got so infected, the inside of my mouth got affected and everything. And so I had to give up those piercings. I would love to get them back, but every professional piercer I go to says no, because those two scars, like, it was done well. They're right between the two muscles of my tongue. And so if they were to pierce again, they'd have to pierce on one side or the other. And then I could, like, get all tingling, lose feeling in my face, my neck, my arm. Like, it's not worth it, but I wish I wouldn't have been so stupid. Got a tattoo. I used to have 2 tattoos on each of my shoulders that I had to have removed because I was allergic to the ink. I plan to get a semicolon tattoo for the semicolon tattoo campaign for mental health, suicide, and addiction awareness. I plan to get something on this arm. Grammy and Grampy, I think it's going to be like Grammy and Grampy Tapper with their date of death always in my heart. And then I'm contemplating on whether I'm going to get a tattoo, a memorial to my mother-in-law who passed away from ALS last year. Driven a 4-door car. Yes, I've never owned a non-4-door car, like a 2-door car. But I'm sure I've probably driven a 2-door car. Driven on a racetrack? No. Ever owned a dream car? No, I'm not even sure what my dream car would be. Because I'm not really into sports cars. It would probably be like a Porsche Cayenne or something, like a really nice SUV. Have you been married? Yes, I will be married 7 years in May. Have you ever been divorced? No. Have you ever fell in love? Yes. Have you ever fell out of love? Yes, I fell out of love. So I've been, and I'm going to do, actually there's a tag video, Happily Married, and part of that talks about if you've been in relationships before. So I've actually been engaged 3 times. The first time the person died of an overdose. The second time the person tried to kill me. So I definitely fell out of love with him. Paid for a stranger's meal. Yeah, I do that whole, like, oh, I'll pay for the car behind me, usually every payday, when I'm, like, if I'm getting coffee or tea, in my case, or if I'm picking up something for my husband to take him to work to surprise him. We also once paid for a couple's meal. We rode to a nice restaurant. I think it was Valentine's Day or something. And we could tell, like, they were dressed up nice. They were, like, having, you know what I mean? They were, like, fit into the setting. You could just tell that, like, they were really choosy about what they wanted on the menu and stuff. And, like, they were just very hesitant to just spend the money. So we left before them, and we actually paid for their meal as well. Paid it forward in a large way. I'd like to think that I pay it forward every day. I don't know a large way. I mean, a large group of things that I do is from the Wings of Angels project that I created, and where I do things in honor of people that either I know that passed away or friends and family of people I know. So it's a large quantity, but I don't do my pay it forward things. I'm like, oh, this is doing it in a big way. Like, I just try to pay it forward all the time. Driven over 100 miles an hour. Yes, a lot of the highways where I live are 110, so I drive them on a regular basis. But there was a time where I left Newfoundland and went to Nova Scotia to be with my grandparents, and when I came back, in my travels there, and while I was there, I realized that I wanted to be back in Newfoundland with my husband. So when I came back into Argentia, so it's about an hour and a half outside of where I lived, I just wedged myself between two race cars, or fast cars, that were going about 140, and I just drove to get home faster. It was really stupid. I could have been into an accident, but that I have. Been scuba diving, yes, I love it. Written a poem, book, or story, yes, I write poems all the time. Eat snails, no, because I'm afraid I'm allergic to them. Have cuisine prepared by another culture. Yes, I've had Indian food. I've had authentic Mexican food. I have to be careful with the spice and with nuts and stuff. Like, my husband loves Thai food. I wouldn't be able to have that because everything's peanut. Spent the night in jail. I guess I actually spent 9 days in jail. When I was back making stupid choices. Gone horseback riding, no, because I'm definitely allergic to horses. And have you ever had your dream job? I'm not really sure what actually I do know what my dream job is. My dream job would be to work in youth probation, which I have not been able to work directly in as a youth probation officer, but I have been able to work with youth probation officers to help youth make positive change in their life. So I'd say that is my dream job, but I'd like to think that every day I'm living a version of my dream job, because any day that I can help someone, to me feels like that's my dream job. You know, that's what I was meant to do, is to help others. So that's the end of the tag. I'll leave the questions down in the description box. If you have any questions about anything I talked about, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, please remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys. Give it a thumbs up, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Talk to you later, guys. Bye bye.